Hey, this is Azbolg, the Gaming Orc, and we're going to talk about some of the changes that are coming up here on the 11th. This is sort of a reply to my previous random battleground video where I talked about some potential changes that demonology could happen. We're going to look at just some of the stuff, and a lot of this is because Blizzard's looking at the arena data. I just want to focus in on some of the weaker classes and some of the stronger classes. You can check out the patch notes. They're all really consolidated well on MMO Champion. Here's the page. What's really important is they're all consolidated here on MMO Champion. And you can see here warriors are getting nerfed. This is an overall nerf for warriors, and some of their Azeroth traits are getting nerfed. But more importantly, Beastmaster Hunters are getting nerfed. We all know Beastmaster Hunters are really overpowered. Surprisingly, they're not nerfing their healing at all. Apparently, they have a really powerful heal that's not in regards to the tooltip. But here's a lot more information. You can go to MMO Champion. All you need to know is rogues and mages also have been nerfed here, and some Windwalker, the Death Touch ability, has been nerfed. And we're going to talk about also, and here's the upcoming September changes. Feral is on the bottom, was getting buffed. The healing from Druids is getting buffed. Again, Demon Hunters again getting nerfed. A lot of nerfs hitting Beastmaster Hunter, I mean. Very, very good. Fire mages need a big buff, and they're getting that to some degree. Some of the healing is getting reduced, and Shadow priests are getting a nice buff to Pain and Vampiric Embrace by 20%. And then, of course, rogues, like I said, also like just in the MMO Champions, rogues are just getting nerfed all around. People have complained about Shaman healing, about how it's one of the bottoms, especially in Mythic Plus, and so they're getting passed over. Well, some of their abilities are getting healed. Let's focus in a little bit on Warlocks. So you got Summon Dark Lair damage reduced by 20% for Affliction. I think this is okay. I've seen other Warlocks talk about how this is a 1.1% damage nerf to their overall DPS. Not a big deal. Not a big deal to Affliction. Affliction's in a good spot. It's got a niche for single target damage. And here we go. We got Demonology damage increased by 5%. This is really good. This is a step in the right direction. A lot of these balance tunings are 5%. So this is just fine-tuned balancing. And I think that this is probably the right way to play, so you don't throw everything out of whack. There's so many variables in this game, like Azeroth traits too. They make it really hard to balance everything because players can find things and synergize things together, and there's just so much to play test that it's sometimes difficult for Blizzard to do it. So Blizzard looks at a lot of spreadsheet data and a lot of statistical data to try to hone in where they can either buff or nerf things. And then Destruction also on the bottom of the barrel for Uldar rating, getting a nice little buff here of 5%. And here I'm going to show you some combat logs like I talked about in my previous video, and just sort of emphasize things. And we can look at the 75th percentile or 99th percentile. 75th percentile means like your average run-of-the-mill player. I think that's pretty good. And you can see Demonology way down here. Same with Feral, unfortunately, and Shadow Priests are all down here, and Elemental too. Marksman needs a buff. I don't know what they're doing with the Marksman. It seems to be a little neglected. And Windwalker Monk's doing pretty good. And then you got Rogues, Hunters, Warriors, and Demon Hunters up there really well. Enhancement not doing as good. But let's take a look at the 99th percentile. And this is the best of the best type players. Like, how good are people really doing? And now you see, okay, even the best Demo Warlocks are way down here at the bottom. And I think my score was actually 77 or something like that. So I'm not sure if I'm the top Demo player. I have to look at my ratings again, or in the top 99th percentile. But it just goes to show you that even like the top player for Demonology, 5% buff. I don't know how much that's really going to bump me on this arbitrary scales. To be honest, I don't understand this how they rate everything as well, but it's okay to use it as a judgment guide. Like the difference between Destruction and this could be like 1% or 10%. You know, it's hard to tell. You know, I mean, I don't know. But all you need to know is that rogues are on top, and this also correlates to battleground data. If you look at like who are the top battleground guys, like Affliction's up there for sure, and Windwalkers are really top up there too, and then Frost DKs. But basically, you have like here's where everything is balanced. If you look, I think between like Survival Hunters up there. So you got to take some takeaways from this. Is what I'm trying to say. The nerfs are hitting Beastmaster Hunter, but they're not hitting survival hunter. And so if you want to make a hunter, survival is in a really good spot still. Now you don't get all the range that you probably do, and I'm interested in making another Magnar survival hunter. I'm leveling up an Enhancement Shaman right now, and enhancements I feel like in a pretty good spot, even though they're pretty low here in the 90th percentile. Maybe they will get a slight buff. I don't know. Remember, for Uldar, things can be different, and I have a feeling there's just not that many Enhancement Shamans. There's only 6,000 parses, so okay, but look at Demonology Warlocks, only 1,000. By the way, as I'm leveling up my Enhancement Shaman, every Warlock that's been in the random dungeon queues has been a Demonology Warlock. So I find that to be very interesting. Let's take a look at some of the Mythic Plus dungeon data. And let's take a look at the 75th percentile before we go to 99th percentile. And then you see, again, like Rogues and Frost Mages actually are right up there on top. Havoc Demon Hunters are really good. Enhancement Shamans are kind of down. Both elemental specs are really far down here. Demonology and Destruction, both very far down on the average pool here. Windwalker Monks, really good. Affliction Warlocks, really good. Warriors, okay. Arcane Mages, again, kind of low. But basically, you have these top tier DPS specs, and those are the ones kind of getting nerfed. I haven't seen any nerfs related to Demon Hunters that much, and Balanced Druids actually doing pretty good. The Balanced Druids and PvP are okay too. So that's another thing to take down. But now let's take a look at the best of the best. We're going to see quite a different chart. You see Demonology is really low down here below. So you could be the best Demonology player in the world, and you might be like up against like an average rogue, really, in a dungeon, and you might be getting the best same DPS. That's what maybe it's trying to tell us. But the top dog is actually Windwalker Monks, and then you got Rogues. But look at Enhancement Shamans. And as I've been playing my Enhancement Shaman, if you manage your Tempest really well, like your Rage, if you actually spend it because you're gaining it so quickly, yes, you're going to do a ton of damage. I think, and you can just blow. I'm having a lot of fun playing it. It's fun. Elemental's doing pretty okay. Affliction Warlock's up there, but you can see the difference in the bar chart. This is probably what Blizzard really looks at too, because you got like average players and then you got above average players. So if they buff, say you have like an average class and they buff it, and you're an above average player, that could really push you far, is what I'm trying to say. But Demonology is just really far. It's obvious, like I said in my previous video, it's been over nerfed. So the takeaway from the logs and some data and the nerfs that are upcoming, Warlocks in general getting a nice some love, and these are just fine tuning. I feel like we're going to get more tuning as the data is coming out. I think they're hard at work. I think they're doing the best job. I listen to the developer, very intelligent guy, doing the best they can. I don't know if they get a lot of feedback from forums or anything like that. I think they look at a lot of data. But playing a Warlock, still a lot of fun. Demonology is the funnest of the three. I think Demonology should be on the top of all three specs, so to be honest with you, because it's just the difficulty of it is the hardest to play. If you want to play a hunter, I think survival, you can see your survival is near the very bottom, though, for the high-end Mythic Plus dungeons. But I still feel like there's something there with survival that they're not that far off. And I think we're going to see some nice tweaks over the next few weeks. Be patient. Like, subscribe, comment. See you guys in the next video.